What if the next 3 days could completely rewrite your destiny, but only if you understood the one rule that separates the awakened from the asleep? September 28, 29, and 30 are not ordinary days. They carry an energetic signature unlike any other time of the year. The atmosphere shifts. The invisible currents change direction, and suddenly the power of your words becomes magnified in ways most people will never comprehend. For those who recognize this threshold, silence becomes the greatest weapon. For those who ignore it, every careless word becomes a chain. You have been chosen to see what others cannot. While the world rushes through these final September days with distraction and noise, you sense something deeper stirring beneath the surface. There is a pressure in the unseen realms, a test unfolding in the spiritual dimension. And in this test, your voice is not your ally. It is the very thing that can unravel everything you have been building. This is not about fear. This is about mastery. This is about understanding that certain windows of time demand a different kind of strength. A strength that does not announce itself, but holds the center in perfect stillness. The chosen ones who endure these 3 days in deliberate silence will step into October transformed. They will carry a clarity that cuts through confusion, a sovereignty that cannot be shaken, and a power that was forged in the fire of restraint. But before we go deeper into why silence is your only path forward, let me share something that can anchor your journey even beyond these 3 days. If you are truly ready to unlock practical and spiritual prosperity, abundance, and wealth with purpose, I invite you to explore Prosperity Revealed in 3 dimensions. This is more than a guide. It's a roadmap for those who understand that true abundance flows from alignment, discipline, and inner authority. Available as an ebook for reading or an audiobook for listening, you will find it linked in the pinned comment and in the description below. It is designed for the chosen ones who are ready to step fully into their calling. Not just survive, but thrive with intention and grace. If that resonates with your spirit, take a moment after this video to explore it. This offering is available for a limited time, and it may be exactly what your soul has been seeking. Now, let us return to the mystery of these 3 days. Why September 28th, 29, and 30? Why does silence become the most powerful act you can commit in this specific window? To understand this, we must first recognize the signs. These are the unmistakable signals that these days are unlike any other. The first sign is provocation. You will notice an unusual surge of conflict around you. Strangers will test your patience. Loved ones will say things that trigger you in ways they normally would not. Conversations that should be simple will suddenly feel loaded with tension. Headlines will scream for your reaction. Social media will bait you into arguments. And every fiber of your being will feel the pull to respond, to defend, to explain yourself. But here is the hidden truth. The provocation is not random. It is orchestrated by the unseen forces that thrive on your reaction. The moment you take the bait, you give away your power. The storm is not here to harm you. It is here to reveal whether you have mastered yourself. The second sign is heaviness. Even if nothing dramatic happens in your external world, you will feel a weight pressing on your spirit. The air will seem thicker, the silence louder, the energy denser. Most people around you will not feel this at all. They will go about their routines, laughing, complaining, scrolling, oblivious to the shift. But you, chosen one, you cannot ignore it. You are wired to sense what others miss. This heaviness is not depression. It is not anxiety. It is the atmosphere itself shifting, preparing for a threshold moment. And your sensitivity to it is proof that you are meant to navigate it consciously. The third sign is the amplification of consequences. In these 3 days, every action you take, every word you speak, carries more weight than usual. It is as if the universe has turned up the volume on cause and effect. A careless comment can spiral into a conflict that lasts for weeks. A moment of anger can burn a bridge you have spent years building. On the other hand, A choice to remain silent, to breathe deeply, to hold your center can anchor a breakthrough that unfolds long after September ends. The energy of these days is hypersensitive. One small act of alignment echoes far beyond what you can see. One small act of misalignment creates ripples of chaos. These are the signs. If you recognize them, you are already ahead of most. But recognizing the signs is not enough. You must understand the causes. Why does silence become so essential in these specific days? What is happening beneath the surface that makes your voice a liability instead of a gift? The first cause is energetic exposure. Normally, your words carry your intention, your truth, your clarity. They are shields and swords, tools of empowerment. But in these 3 days, the energetic field is distorted. When you speak, especially in reaction or defense, you are not simply expressing yourself. You are opening a doorway. And through that doorway, forces you cannot see begin to feed on your energy. Every explanation you give, every argument you engage in, every justification you offer becomes fuel for systems and entities that thrive on human reactivity. Silence in this context is not weakness. It is the act of closing the door. It is the refusal to participate in a game rigged against you. If this insight resonates with you, take a moment right now to show your support by hitting that like button. It helps this message reach more chosen ones who need to hear it, and it lets me know you are walking this path with awareness and intention. The second cause is the inversion of power. In ordinary times, speaking your truth is empowering. It sets boundaries. It claims space. It declares who you are. But in these 3 days, the rules are inverted. Authority, in all its forms, feeds on your need to explain yourself. Systems, leaders, even loved ones unconsciously lean on the energy you spill through words. They expect you to react, to defend, to prove. And when you do, you hand over your sovereignty. You give them permission to define you, to control the narrative, to drain your reserves. But when you remain silent, you break the script. You disrupt the pattern. You reclaim what was always yours. Silence becomes rebellion. It becomes the invisible act of resistance that shifts the balance of power back into your hands. The third cause is spiritual refinement. These 3 days are not punishment. They are initiation. The universe is asking you one question. Can you remain still while chaos swirls around you? Can you trust that silence itself is carrying you through? This is not about avoiding conflict. It is about transcending the need to be understood. It's about releasing the dependence on external validation. Every unspoken word in these days becomes fuel stored within your spirit. Every time you resist the urge to defend or argue, you fortify the deepest parts of yourself. The storm is not here to destroy you. It is here to chisel away the parts of you still dependent on approval, still addicted to proving yourself. And by the time October arrives, you will no longer carry that weight. You will be lighter, stronger, freer. Now that you understand the signs and the causes, the question becomes, how do you walk this path? What does it look like to honor silence in these 3 days? This is where theory meets practice. This is the path of awakening. First, recognize that silence is not passivity. It is active presence. It is the conscious choice to hold your energy instead of scattering it. When someone provokes you, when something triggers you, pause. Take a breath. Feel the urge to respond rising within you, and instead of acting on it, witness it. Watch it like a wave that rises and falls. You do not need to ride that wave. You do not need to be swept away by it. Simply observe. In that space of observation, you reclaim your power. You become the master of your own energy, not its servant. Second, create intentional buffers. In these 3 days, reduce unnecessary interactions. If a conversation can wait, let it wait. If a meeting is not essential, postpone it. If social media feels like a minefield, step away. This is not about isolation. It is about protection. You are creating space for your spirit to rest, to recalibrate, to gather strength. Think of it as a spiritual retreat that you carry within you, even in the midst of a busy world. You are not running from life. You are stewarding your energy with wisdom. If you are finding value in this message, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. There is so much more we will explore together, and I do not want you to miss the insights that are coming. Your presence here matters, and your journey is just beginning. Third, practice micro acts of restraint. These are the small choices that compound into massive transformation. When someone cuts you off in traffic, choose not to honk. When a family member says something hurtful, choose not to retaliate. When a headline makes your blood boil, choose not to comment. Each of these moments is a test, and each time you pass the test, you build a reservoir of inner strength that will serve you far beyond September. Do not underestimate the power of small choices. In a hypersensitive energetic field, even the smallest act of alignment creates waves that touch every shore. Fourth, lean into practices that ground you. These 3 days are the perfect time to deepen your connection with stillness. Meditation, breathwork, journaling, time in nature, these are not distractions from your responsibilities. They are the foundation that allows you to fulfill your responsibilities with grace. When you ground yourself, you become unshakable. When you center yourself, you become unmovable. And from that place of inner stability, silence is not a struggle. It is a natural expression of your mastery. Fifth, trust the process. There will be moments in these 3 days when silence feels unbearable, when you want to scream, to explain, to defend, to prove. In those moments, remember this: the discomfort you feel is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are transforming. The old patterns are being uprooted, the old dependencies are being released, and in their place, something new is emerging, something stronger, something wiser, something sovereign. Trust that the silence is working, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Trust that the storm is refining you, even when it feels like it is breaking you. As we move deeper into this understanding, let me share a story. There was once a woman who walked through these 3 days unknowingly. She had no guidance, no warning, no map. On September 28th, she woke up to a text message that infuriated her. A colleague had taken credit for her work in a meeting she could not attend. Her first instinct was to fire back, to set the record straight, to make sure everyone knew the truth. But something stopped her. A quiet voice within whispered, "Not now." She did not understand why, but she listened. She put the phone down and went for a walk instead. On September 29th, her partner said something that cut deep. It was not intentional, but it reopened an old wound. Again, the urge to lash out, to argue, to make him understand, rose within her. But again, that quiet voice whispered, "Not now." She excused herself, went to her room and wrote in her journal instead. She let the words pour out onto paper, but she did not speak them aloud. On September 30th, she saw a social media post that misrepresented something she deeply cared about. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to type a response. But once more that voice whispered, "Not now." She closed the app, turned off her phone, and sat in silence. When October 1st arrived, something had shifted. The colleague who had taken credit reached out to apologize, unprompted. The partner, sensing her quiet strength, opened up in a way he never had before. And the social media post, which had seemed so important, faded into irrelevance. She realized that by holding her silence, she had not lost anything. She had gained everything. She had gained clarity. She had gained respect. She had gained sovereignty. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. Have you experienced a moment in your life when silence was more powerful than words? Have you ever held your tongue and watched the situation resolve itself in ways you could not have orchestrated? If so, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another chosen one needs to hear right now. And if this message is speaking to your spirit, consider sharing this video with someone who needs it. You never know whose life you might transform with a simple act of generosity. This story is not unique. Across the world, in places you will never see, others are making the same choice. In crowded cities, in quiet towns, in homes filled with chaos, and in rooms of solitude, chosen ones are holding their silence. You may never meet them. You may never know their names or faces, but their silence strengthens yours, just as yours strengthens theirs. Without ever speaking, without ever knowing, you are standing side by side, forming an unspoken alliance. And through this hidden alliance, the collective begins to shift, not through shouting, not through protests, but through stillness shared. Awakening does not always echo through microphones. Sometimes it moves quietly, invisibly, like a current beneath the surface, until suddenly everything changes. This is why silence matters now more than ever. It is not only about you, it is about a movement larger than yourself. You are part of a global network of chosen ones who are raising the frequency of the planet, not through noise, but through presence. Not through force, but through stillness. Not through dominance, but through mastery. And the world, though it may not yet understand, will feel the shift. It will sense the change, and it will respond. As September 28th, 29, and 30 unfold, you will be tested. The provocations will come. The heaviness will press. The urge to react will rise. But now you know. Now you understand. This is not a time for words. This is a time for sovereignty. This is a time for discipline. This is a time for silence that speaks louder than any argument ever could. And when October arrives, it will not arrive the same for everyone. For most, it will feel like just another month, another page on the calendar. But for you, for the chosen ones who endure in silence, October will arrive as a doorway. You will step into it without the burden of unnecessary battles, without the exhaustion of arguments that led nowhere, without the regret of words spoken too soon. Instead, you will carry clarity. You will carry strength. You will carry a discipline woven into your spirit, a discipline that extends far beyond these 3 days and into every decision you make thereafter. Silence is not emptiness. It is sovereignty. It is the sound of your soul standing tall. It is dignity refusing to bow to misunderstanding. It is strength disguised as stillness. And when September ends, you will know that what you gained in silence could never have been won with noise. This is not about punishment. It is about reset. The silence you hold in these days clears away the clutter of distraction, sharpens your intuition, and anchors your will. If you can control your tongue when provoked, if you can remain still when the world begs you to react, what else can you master? Self-control is the highest form of freedom, and silence is its crown. So as you stand at the threshold of these last 3 days of September, remember this: silence is not a burden. It is a bridge. It's the bridge between what is ending and what is beginning. It is the bridge between the storm and the calm. It is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. Do not fear the silence. Embrace it, hold it, honor it. For when you walk through it, you will discover that silence was never emptiness at all. It was the voice of your soul, preparing you for what comes next. And what comes next is not small. What comes next is not ordinary. What comes next is the unfolding of a new chapter written in your strength, your clarity, and your unshakable sovereignty. The universe has been preparing you for this moment. Every challenge, every setback, every lesson has been leading you here. And now, in these 3 days, you are being asked to demonstrate that you are ready. Not through action, not through words, but through the quiet mastery of silence. October will greet you with open arms, but only if you cross this threshold with integrity. Only if you honor the sacred pause that these days demand. Only if you trust that what you are building in silence is far more powerful than anything you could construct with noise. The chosen ones understand this. They do not fight the current. They ride it with wisdom. They do not resist the test. They rise to meet it with grace. As we close, I want to leave you with one final thought. Silence is not the absence of voice. It is the presence of choice. It is the conscious decision to hold your power instead of giving it away. It is the recognition that not every moment demands a response, that not every provocation deserves your energy, that not every battle is yours to fight. And in that recognition, you become free. Free from the need to prove, free from the burden of being understood, free to simply be in your fullness, in your sovereignty, in your strength. These last 3 days of September are a gift wrapped in challenge, yes, but a gift nonetheless. They are offering you the chance to step into a version of yourself that is unshakable, that is sovereign, that is free. And all you have to do is remain silent. All you have to do is trust. All you have to do is endure. So, chosen one, as September 28th, 29, and 30 arrive, walk with purpose. Hold your silence with reverence. Trust the process with unwavering faith. And know that on the other side, October is waiting, not as an ordinary month, but as a new beginning, a fresh chapter, a doorway into the life you were always meant to live. The storm is here, but you were made for this. You were chosen for this. And through silence, you will not just survive. You will rise. Entendido perfeitamente. Vou adicionar exatamente 10.000 caracteres, com espaços, continuando de onde o script parou, mantendo total coerência narrativa, tom e propósito. A extensão seguirá o mesmo estilo inspiracional e profético, com mais insights práticos, CTAs de engajamento e aprofundamento espiritual. The storm is here, but you were made for this. You were chosen for this. And through silence, you will not just survive. You will rise. Yet there is something more that must be said about these 3 days, something that goes deeper than what we have already explored. Because silence is not just a strategy, it is a doorway. And on the other side of that doorway lies a dimension of your being that has been waiting to emerge. A dimension that cannot be accessed through words, through explanations, through the endless cycle of speaking and defending. This dimension can only be revealed through the stillness that these days demand. Think of it this way. Your entire life, you have been taught to use your voice, to speak up, to be heard, to make your presence known. And there is truth in that teaching. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. But what you have not been taught is that there are moments when the highest expression of your power is not through sound, but through sacred silence. These 3 days are one of those moments. They are not asking you to abandon your voice forever. They are asking you to discover the voice that exists beyond words. This voice is the voice of your soul. It speaks in frequency, in vibration, in energy. It communicates not through syllables, but through presence. And when you allow yourself to rest in this deeper voice, when you give yourself permission to be silent in these 3 days, you are not losing your power. You are accessing a level of power you never knew existed. You're stepping into the realm where transformation happens, not through effort, but through alignment. Not through force, but through flow. And here is the secret that the awakened understand. The silence you hold in these 3 days is not just for you. It is for everyone connected to you. When you choose to remain silent, when you refuse to engage in the chaos, when you hold your center with unwavering discipline, you create a ripple effect. Your family feels it, even if they do not understand it. Your colleagues sense it, even if they cannot name it. The world around you responds to it, even if it happens invisibly, because silence is contagious. Peace is contagious. Mastery is contagious. If you are beginning to see the depth of what is unfolding here, I invite you to drop a comment below with the word silence, so I can see who is truly ready to walk this path. Your engagement helps this message spread to those who need it most, and it creates a community of chosen ones who are committed to transformation. Now, let us go even deeper. What happens after these 3 days? What awaits you on the other side of October Jeûne? This is the question that matters most, because these 3 days are not an end. They are a beginning. They are the initiation that qualifies you for what comes next. And what comes next is the activation of your true calling. October does not arrive empty-handed. It arrives carrying opportunities, connections, revelations, and breakthroughs that were not available to you before. But here is the key. You can only receive what you are vibrationally aligned with. And the silence you hold in these 3 days is the recalibration that aligns you with your highest destiny. It is the reset that clears the frequency so that the signal of your purpose can come through without interference. Think of yourself as a radio. When there is static, when there is noise, when there is too much interference, you cannot hear the music clearly. But when you remove the static, when you clear the noise, suddenly the music comes through in perfect clarity. That is what silence does. It removes the static of reactivity, the noise of defensiveness, the interference of ego. And in that clearing, your purpose becomes audible. Your path becomes visible. Your next steps become undeniable. This is why the chosen ones who honor these 3 days will step into October with an unfair advantage. They will see doors that others do not see. They will recognize opportunities that others overlook. They will hear guidance that others cannot perceive, not because they are more gifted, but because they are more aligned. Not because they are more talented, but because they are more tuned in. And alignment, not effort, is what unlocks the miraculous. But alignment requires discipline. It requires the willingness to say no to what is easy and yes to what is necessary. In these 3 days, what is necessary is silence. And the discipline to hold that silence, even when everything in you wants to speak, is what separates the chosen from the comfortable. The comfortable will continue to react, to defend, to engage in endless cycles of noise. And they will remain where they are. But the chosen will embrace the discomfort of silence, and they will break through into a dimension of reality that was previously inaccessible. Let me be clear about something. The world does not celebrate silence. It celebrates noise. It celebrates those who speak the loudest, who post the most, who demand attention at every turn. And because of this, silence can feel like invisibility. It can feel like you are being overlooked, ignored, forgotten. But this is an illusion. The truth is, silence is not invisibility. It is invincibility. When you are silent, you cannot be manipulated. When you are silent, you cannot be drained. When you are silent, you cannot be controlled. You become untouchable, not because you are hiding, but because you are sovereign. And sovereignty is what these 3 days are designed to awaken within you. Not the sovereignty that comes from titles, positions, or external validation, but the sovereignty that comes from inner authority, from self-mastery, from the unshakable knowing that you are enough, that you do not need to prove anything to anyone, that your worth is not determined by how loudly you speak, but by how deeply you stand in your truth. Take a moment to reflect on your own journey. How many times have you given away your power by speaking when you should have remained silent? How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to explain, to justify, to convince others of what they were not ready to see? How many times have you scattered your energy in arguments that led nowhere, in conversations that drained you, in reactions that you later regretted? This is not judgment. This is recognition. And recognition is the first step toward transformation. These 3 days are giving you the chance to break that pattern. They are offering you the opportunity to rewrite the script, to reclaim your energy, to step into a new way of being. And all it requires is your willingness to be still, your willingness to trust, your willingness to endure. Some of you may be wondering, but what if staying silent causes me to miss an important opportunity? What if my silence is mistaken for weakness? What if people think I do not care? These are valid concerns, but let me offer you a different perspective. The opportunities that require you to break your silence in these 3 days are not your opportunities. The people who mistake your silence for weakness are not your people. The situations that demand your reaction are not aligned with your highest good. Real opportunities, true connections, aligned circumstances, they will wait. They will respect your silence. They will honor your timing. And here is something even more powerful. When you emerge from these 3 days with your energy intact, with your sovereignty reclaimed, with your spirit fortified, you will attract opportunities that are far greater than anything you could have accessed through noise. You will draw in connections that are rooted in respect, not manipulation. You will step into situations that honor your worth, not drain it. Because when you operate from a place of mastery, you attract mastery. When you operate from a place of sovereignty, you attract sovereignty. Before I continue, I want you to do something for me. If this message is resonating with your spirit, if you feel the truth of what is being shared here, take a moment to share this video with someone you know who needs to hear it. You might be the bridge that connects another chosen one to the guidance they have been searching for. Your simple act of sharing could change someone's life. Now, as we prepare to close this transmission, I want to speak directly to those of you who are feeling the weight of these 3 days pressing on your spirit. I know it is not easy. I know that silence can feel like a burden when you are used to using your voice. I know that holding your tongue can feel excruciating when you are provoked, when you are misunderstood, when you are tested. But I also know this: you are stronger than you realize. You are more capable than you have been led to believe. And you are absolutely ready for this initiation. The universe does not give you tests you cannot pass. It does not place thresholds before you that you are not equipped to cross. If you are reading these words right now, if you have made it this far in this message, it is because you have been chosen for this moment. It is because your soul has been preparing for this initiation long before your mind understood what was happening. And now the moment has arrived. The question is not whether you can do this. The question is, will you?